Hello, everybody. I'm hoping that this is going live pretty soon. Oops. It says I'm live over here, but it hasn't opened up in the YouTube's yet. Okay, so I'm going to say welcome, everybody. There was a little bit of a delay. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to turn off my. I'm going to turn off my audio. Alrighty. So let me just finish up with the chat in the old room. And okay. So we're going to be just having a very informal open panel. I haven't put out the link yet. Give me a few moments. Hey, it's Gary. How you doing, Gary? Yeah, so let me invite. Okay. So here is the link. Let me not do it there. I'm going to put the link in the YouTube chat. Please use. Anyone may. Yeah. So if you want to come in, I just ask that you have headphones. Just how you doing, Fitzpatrick? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. I saw a couple of comments that you made recently, but thank you for joining. Yeah. So I don't know what did you guys think of my little video? It's really kind of a stupid video how you can draw a perpendicular to a circle, but it seems to be just such a big point of contention that, like, you know, there it seems that there are certain things that must be denied. You know, like if you take the position that the Earth is not a globe, there are certain things that just have to be denied. So I don't know. That's just me. I'm not quite, I'm not quite sure. But that's Sergeant Rock. Are you picking a fight, Sergeant Rock? But yeah, so it's just an interesting thing, and I try to take a very lighthearted approach, because I think that, if I want to have any influence on people, I'm not going to have any influence if I take a position of animosity. So, right. Yes, that's correct. You're Victoria. If you could not draw the tangent, you could never put an orange on a table. Yeah, pretty amazing. I was looking at some data with regards to trains. And so if you have a train with, big steel wheels traveling on steel track, apparently the surface that is in contact, the surface of the train wheel that is in contact with the rail is about the size of a dime, which is pretty amazing. This huge train, and like just one train wheel, it's just about the size of a dime of surface area contact. And the other thing is, I come from an engineering perspective. I was never an engineer, but I studied engineering in college. And one of the fascinating things was learning about coefficients of friction. And, if you have train wheels, that's like polished steel. If you have train rails, that's also polished steel. So what's the coefficient of friction of polished steel on polished steel? And it turns out that it's not very high, but if you have, thousands of tons of pressure, then you get a pretty decent coefficient of friction, or not the coefficient, you get a pretty decent amount of friction, even though it's polished steel and polished steel. So, but anyway, I didn't have any plans for this stream. So if anybody wants to join, let me if I put the join link. Anyone may join. Please use headphones. Oh, right. Sergeant Rock. It's you multiply it by however many wheels you have, but like on any given wheel, it's only the size of a dime. Absolutely. And then welcome Sudico. So yeah. So I just want to make sure that that we're not like trying to do a dog pile on top of Mr. Gary Wabinga. Everybody is welcome here, and so if he doesn't want to answer a question, then he's not answering the question. Yes, Johnny Ragadoo. That's there's a fairly recent video on that, the conical nature of train wheels, and how you actually get different a differential what do they call it, a differential circumference, right? So the tank is moving 30 miles an hour, and the tank track is moving 30. Yeah, that would be 0. Sergeant Rock, are you military? I mean, people tend to pick interesting screen names, but were you a tanker? Army. Okay. Well, I will reserve all my rude comments. I'm just kidding. I thank you for your service, Sergeant Rock, but I was Marine Corps, so we have a very very healthy sibling rivalry, the Marines and Army. I spent a lot of my training on Army bases, so because Marine Corps bases are much fewer in number. 84 Bravo. Okay. But the little a still photography specialist. Okay, the little heart is in the way. I can't really see what your comment is. Still photo specialist. Okay, so you're a photographer, huh? A photographer or a Signal Corps. Okay, we couldn't before the Marines. Fantastic. I was I guess when I was in the Army, they called it 49 Charlie, but I was a 1391 bulk fuel specialist. And how you doing, Rowan? Welcome, everybody. And like I said, I'm just going to post the link in the chat. I didn't really have anything planned. I just wanted to kind of open it up. If anybody wanted to come in, I'm just going to say, if you do want to come in, please use headphones. But yeah, I had a great time in the service. I love the Marine Corps. Love the Marine Corps. Just really the saltiest group of people you'd ever want to meet. But most of my training was on Army base. So we'd have a small Marine detachment on an Army base, like one was Fort Lee, Virginia. Or when I was actually doing my reserve duty, we would go to a local Army base, like Parris Island. Yeah, that's the only boot camp for the Marine Corps. The other one is in Hollywood, and where they get massages from the movie stars. So yes, I'm a Parris Island Marine, as opposed to those Hollywood Marines. But $8,000 in poker. Oh my goodness, Rune. $8,000. So yeah, Meraki, I'm not sure. Like, I use salty as, like, I don't know, kind of rough around the edges, but in a sort of a humorous way. It's Ace. You sound like it sounds like something Nathan would say. But so Parris Island, yeah, it was 13 weeks. I started June. It was June through August, 13 weeks in June through August 1985. Oh, okay. Meraki. Yes. When did you serve? Right. Yes, the language of sailors. Definitely. But Danish kroner. Oh, okay. 8,000. Okay. Okay, so well, still $1,200 is not is not bad. Okay, Meraki, 1976. That's fantastic. And then Sergeant Rock, 79 to 85. Okay, so you were getting out when I was getting in. Yeah, I was 85 to 95 in the reserves, otherwise known as peacetime. But yeah, so I don't know what if any of you guys pay any attention to the Bev show, the Try Thinking show. It's quite entertaining because they've kind of built. Oh, okay, yes, Sergeant Rock. Yes, I got in right when Ronald Reagan was finishing up his term. But they've kind of built themselves sort of an echo chamber. There are only a couple Globers that go over to Try Thinking. And so, I try to engage them as politely as I can because like I want to have a positive influence. I don't want, there was one time where Bev got genuinely angry with me and I'm not really sure what exactly I did to trigger him, but I always try to, like walk a fine line because like it is Bev's, it is his server, his Discord server. So it's like, I know that I'm the enemy walking into the enemy camp. So I can't act, like, I'm the super cool hotshot guy and everybody else is an idiot, Oh, Sergeant Rock. Okay. He's yeah, I'm actually blocked on his YouTube live comments, like when he does his YouTube the show is broadcast on YouTube. Yes, if you say he's a flurf, he goes off. Yes. But yeah, so I'm blocked on the YouTube side of things, but not on the Discord, and also I can leave comments on it. It's weird. The YouTube, I just figured this out the other day. I had to type into a YouTube help system. And I finally, the person had to ask a supervisor and the supervisor had to ask a supervisor. And they finally figured out that there is like this special website that if you're blocked on somebody's YouTube live chat, like where we're chatting right now, if you block somebody there, it kind of goes into a black hole and it's very, very difficult to unblock because there's nothing to click on to say, who is blocked on my YouTube live chat. But yeah, you don't want exterior noise polluting the echo chamber. Absolutely. But it's so funny, the things like this is sort of what triggered my whole the video, the series of videos really that I've been posting recently is it's really fascinating the things that they have to deny. And I don't know why, like they chose like a hill to die on to be that you can't draw a perpendicular to a curve. Like that seems to be almost canonical with these guys. And it's like, what's wrong with drawing a perpendicular to a curve? Like I don't see, I mean, I get that, Euclid said that perpendicular was two straight lines, et cetera, but I don't understand what is so fundamentally problematic with drawing a perpendicular to a curve, I mean, I totally get that, like Nathan and those guys with celestial navigation, they're like, the earth can't be curved because you need a flat baseline for, to even use a sextant. It's like, no. Apparently these guys haven't heard of a bubble sextant where there's no baseline. It's literally a bubble and there's your baseline. But yeah, it's really strange, the things that they choose to deny to sort of maintain the charade. Oh, I guess I could be showing comments. So yeah, Rune says, just call him a flat earther then. Flurf sounds demeaning. Right. Oh, he gets very, very, very upset when you call him a flat earther. And I think Meraki, I think this is actually true. Bev, like Witsit, is the variety of Flurf that uses a lot of insecurity about his intelligence and overcompensates. Yep. And you are Victoria says, I think both Bev and Witsit know enough that their insecurity is about their worldview more than anything. Yeah, it's especially like Witsit. You ask him a direct question, and then you get the you get the word salad, you get the gish gallop, where he just talks really fast and it's like this memorized speech that has like 20 different tangentially related facts. And it's like, how do you respond to that? The guy just said 20 things, and it's just to get you to shut up. And Johnny Raggedy says that the baseline has to be the surface of the earth if the baseline is somewhere even close to the surface. Yeah, it's the thing that really gets me about measuring angles, which is so ridiculous, because like when I was a child and I first learned how to use a protractor, I mean, I guess it was in one of the, maybe middle school math is when you first, use a protractor. The line literally needs to be a couple inches long, and it just boggles the mind that these guys would say, no, what's important is what's happening, 2,000 miles away on that line. And if 2,000 miles away, the line is curved, then you cannot use your protractor here over, the angle that you see right in front of you, you can't use your protractor because of something that's happening 2,000 miles away. That just does not make any sense to me whatsoever. Yeah, the flat earthers they do think they're smarter than everyone. I mean, the thing is, they have the secret knowledge. And I don't know if you've ever, I don't know if it's an essay by, who is the guy that did Glenn Ross? The guy, oh my goodness, Glenn Ross, the guy, so profound, but he's really become quite an interesting thinker. It'll come to me, or somebody will put it in chat. The playwright, he has an essay called "The Secret Knowledge," and I think that is definitely it with these flat Earth folks. With it talks in rap lyrics, yes. All right, so Gary Wybenga, yes, the bubble gives the horizontal plane. So, if you're in an airplane, first off, you definitely would not want to sight on the horizon, because you'd have to know exactly what your altitude was, whatever. But what if you can't you can't see the horizon? What if it's at night? Like a lot of people don't realize that if you're on a boat and it's nighttime, you do not have a clear view of the horizon. That's why they call it nautical twilight. I mean, that's when nautical twilight ends, you really can't see the horizon. But if you're on an airplane, like, that had a bubble sextant poking through the fuselage, you had a bubble that would establish your horizontal plane of reference. And so there was no, doesn't matter what the shape of the earth is, you're establishing a horizontal. All right. Well, I'm enjoying just going through these comments, but I do want to post again, if anybody wants to come in, please use. Anyone may join. Please use headphones if you want to join, because otherwise I'm just rambling. I'm enjoying displaying the different the different comments. So and here's Johnny. So Witsit is a flat earther because he needs a god to create everything small and local, so he won't feel insignificant, not like a speck floating endlessly. He said this with his mouth parts. So yeah, Sergeant Rock, I'm going to disagree with a little bit about what you say, because like I believe in God, and the thing about flat earthers is that for some reason they feel that modern science declares that there's nothing but randomness. Like, the most loudest atheist scientists are like, oh, we're just a cosmic accident, so we're just a bit of dust floating in the galaxy, and that upsets them. But there are a whole lot of people like me. I believe in God, but I also believe in the universe. I believe God created the universe. So but yeah, and there's nothing about insignificance. Like that is something that they're projecting onto these guys. So Johnny, how are you? Thank you for joining.
I'm well. I didn't want to take up too much of your show. In fact, this is the first time I've ever joined a live chat on anything like this. I just thought I'd say that you have my gratitude for your demeanor and your patience with people that don't show you the same courtesy. And I always learn something from your videos, like the one you just did, that acceleration of density. I had no idea.
Yes, yes, acceleration due to density and buoyancy. Yes, you probably thought it was that weird G word. Yeah, acceleration due to density and buoyancy. Yeah, negative 9.8 meters per second squared. Yeah, you always learn something new. But thank you, Johnny, for the very kind compliment. The thing is, it really comes down to, like what is my goal by participating in this debate. For starters, it's a hobby, and I do enjoy it. I enjoy, interacting with the wacky math and science claims. But also, I would like to be an influence. I mean, I've only known about 4 or 5 people who have told me that I helped convert them back to the globe. And that's what I've been. That's one person every 3 years. Okay. One person every 3 years I've convinced. You never know. But I'm kind of like doing a missionary service. We just had the missionaries for dinner, and boy, they were delicious. No, we hosted the missionaries for dinner tonight, and they go out in the field knocking on doors, trying to convert folks to the gospel. And so I'm doing my part here in YouTube and Discord, trying to, not the gospel of globe earth, but trying to get people to see the truth, so but yeah, so thanks Johnny. And this is interesting. This is the first time you've joined, huh?
I've been shy, I guess.
Yeah.
But I have learned an awful lot from flat earthers. The way you learn from them is you listen to what they say, you realize that that it cannot possibly be true, but you ask yourself, why do you know it's true? Why do you know that their assertions about gravity not existing, or the Earth being flat, or why do you know that's false? And there's a lot to learn there. It's like a learning prompt.
Yes.
That's what I've gotten
Yes.
out of it.
And the thing is, one of the great things about why I like to participate in this is that I personally learn from, because like some of them come up with arguments that are out of left field, and it's like, I don't know about that. Like, for example, I never had heard of the Michelson-Morley, or whatever the name of that thing was, Michelson-Morley experiment. So it's like I'd never heard of that before, and so here it is, a flat earther is using that as evidence. Well, that will prompt a bit of learning on my part, and I want to say, Miss Patrick. So, all right, 6, Miss Patrick. Yes, he and I had lots of conversations back in 2015, 2016. And okay, all right, Mitz, congratulations. Thank you very much for the kindness. And then Effed Up World, hello, Effed Up World. Appreciate you coming by. So yeah, so Johnny, do you find that sometimes you hear a flat earther say something that, I mean, like, intellectually, it's not true, but you don't have enough grounding, like, it's something that you haven't heard of, so then you do the Google and start looking it up.
Sure. A long time ago, I was into flying, and I really obsessed over it, and I learned a lot of details about what keeps an airplane in the air. What I didn't know is that there was a difference between the directional gyro, the DG, in the aircraft, and a gyro compass. I didn't know that there was a difference.
Okay.
I'd never needed a gyro compass, so outside my experience. And when I learned about how they worked, it's like, wow, that's really cool. Makes perfect sense too.
Well, aren't the gyro compasses more of used on ships? I don't know. I mean, I know that they were these big monstrosity, devices that were, I guess they were first built in World War II, if I'm not mistaken.
Sperry, I think, was the first commercial one.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly in ships because they can be deep in an iron hull and not be thrown off from magnetic interference. And yeah, in an airplane, the between the weight and the plane bouncing around so much, uh,
Right.
they,
It would kind of upset the
they tend
gimbal.
to put the gyro compass master, the flywheel, as close to the center of mass of the ship as possible,
Right.
so it's not bumped around so much.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fascinating. Um, my father, I don't know if I told you guys this, but my father, he helped design navigation systems for um, ballistic missile warheads. Um, so I guess it was called inertial guidance, and so it was basically a big old gyro in the warhead, and they were they were scary accurate. Now the thing is, when we hear about like ICBMs, you're like, okay, intercontinental ballistic missile. But what does that mean? Well, if you have a ballistic trajectory, I mean, obviously it's the first part of it is powered by fuel, but like once the fuel runs out, you are now in a ballistic trajectory. And a lot of people don't realize that. It's like shooting a gun up into the air. And so a lot of people don't realize that because ICBMs, we just know the letters and we know, okay, so we're going to send nuclear weapons, but it would have an apogee of like 1,000 miles, like way above most of the satellites there in orbit today. The ICBM would peak much higher because it was on a ballistic trajectory. But the thing is, it had guidance, and I asked my father before he died. I said, what kind of accuracy did you get out of these things? And the first words out of his mouth were, "I think it's unclassified now." and he said within 100 yards. It was so it's like they were able to shoot a missile, in a ballistic manner, several thousand miles away, and then end up within a couple 100 yards, which of course in nuclear weapon terms that's a bullseye. But what's always frustrating to me when talking with like flat earthers, and when anything starts talking about or when the conversation goes to engineering topics, like oh, they can't be everybody who works on space and satellites, they're not all in on the conspiracy because they're compartmentalized. And that always frustrates me. It's like everyone's compartmentalized, everyone, and it's like these guys have never worked on a project before. It's like if you work on a project, you're not so compartmentalized that you don't care if the project succeeds or not, or you have no way of knowing if the project succeeds or not. It's like if you're working on a project, like that's the goal, like that's what everybody's working towards, whether it's building the Hoover Dam or putting a satellite in orbit. There's going to be metrics, there's going to be results, there's going to be some sort of feedback as to whether the project worked. And it's so funny, these guys are like, oh, everyone's just compartmentalized. So it's like you got all these guys working on building satellites, and they don't care if the satellite doesn't work. They don't care that space is fake, so satellites can't be in orbit. Like, it's just so funny to me that it's like they're naive. It's like if somebody has never done a project, then they might say, oh, everyone's compartmentalized. But I don't know. You have any thoughts on that, Johnny?
Well, yeah, that there's such a rich field to learn just anywhere you look in anything related to physics or forces or motion. I remember, now it's been a long time ago, but from the job I had at the time, I'm going to guess it was around 2000 that I realized that satellites, even geosynchronous satellites, have to tumble end for end once per orbit to maintain a constant aspect to the Earth.
Right.
And
right.
I thought that was so cool.
Well, we don't call it tumble. It's a rotate.
Well, it's
once per orbit. Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Right.
Exactly. Tidally locked or something, right?
Yeah. Yes. Mimicking tidal lock. Right. And I hate to say it, but my wife is a little under the weather today, and I'm going to have to and let
Okay.
the bounce house take care of her. But thank you so much for your invitation, and I appreciate everything you do, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for your kindness. I appreciate you coming by. Take care. Take care of
You
that
too.
missus.
Yes, sir.
Oh, so I want to respond to Effed Up World. His comment: they aren't compartmentalized; they believe it. Flat Earthers don't believe it. So, and I guess the context of my what I'm saying, Effed Up World, is that there are hundreds of thousands of people working today in space programs. So whether it's building satellites, building rockets, doing anything, I mean, it's not even necessarily building. Like, for example, the people who run the, what is it, Sirius XM, right? That's digital radio. So like I get in my car and I turn on the Sirius XM, and I could listen to 200 stations of HD music. And there are no antennas that are broadcasting this stuff. So it's like, so the people who are working in these industries, like they would know if space was fake. I hope that makes sense. Effed Up World. That's really what I was going for. And then he says, I don't think anyone at NASA is lying. Oh, okay. Well, that's refreshing. Okay, that's very refreshing. Recently, people were talking, I forget which channel it was. I guess it was a couple of Flat Earth channels. We're talking about Sputnik. And yeah, and Meraki, this is whoops. Yeah, aerospace. It's like a $400 billion a year industry, and it's very real. Okay. Meraki says they also ignore the fact that aerospace worldwide is a $700 billion business. Most of it is not NASA, right? So people were talking about Sputnik recently, and I think somebody was like, "Oh, it was just done with a balloon," or like the you see that sphere with the antenna pointing off the sides. They're like, "Well, if you turn that 90 degrees, you could see that those are how it was suspended." It's kind of grasping at straws, but the stories that I've heard, I mean, I wasn't alive during Sputnik, was that when it went overhead, like if you had like a shortwave radio, you could tune it to the frequency. I mean, that was the thing that they published what the frequency was in the newspapers. And so so if you knew it was going overhead, you could pull out your shortwave and you could hear it beeping away, but it was like not, it was only as it passed over. It wasn't like a balloon which would just hang there in the stratosphere. Okay. But it's, if Sputnik was actually in orbit, it was in a 17,000 mile an hour orbit, and like that's very difficult to fake with like balloons. But Effed Up World, I appreciate you your input here. He says, I'm different than some in that respect. I don't think that space is fake. I think it's outer darkness. Okay. All right. So that would be an interesting thing to explore. I'm really behind on my email. I think you've sent me an email, and that at some point we'll have an hour-long conversation, and we can talk about whatever it is you like. But yeah, and the idea about observing Earth from space, that's kind of a deal breaker. But of course, some people are saying all those photos are fake. An interesting photo, and I'm not familiar enough with StreamYard, and I don't have this stuff all on deck, but I gotta wish I could find it quickly. Flat Earth debate images. I'm not sure if I can pull this in. New layout, edit layout. What can I do? If anybody knows how to. So I don't want to present something. Well, present, share screen. Can I share a screen? Easiest with 2 monitors, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know what, okay. Flat Earth debate images. Okay. So, okay. So this is actually a folder that is available. Flat Earth debate images. I think I've invited everybody, or anybody can view this. But one of the things that I want to do is these are some of these things are Blue Marble. Here we go. I'm going to open this up. So this is an image I made. So this is the Blue Marble 2012, where people are saying, oh, the United States is so huge. And yes, this is Photoshop. This is it's stitched together. It's not Photoshop necessarily. It's computerized. It's stitched together. But what's fascinating for me is that this came from a satellite called Suomi NPP, which was 577 miles up. So it was, about 2 to 3 times as high as the ISS, but not so high that it could really see the whole Earth. Okay. And so what I did is I took my GoPro, and because it's got this fisheye lens, and I just had it literally just several inches away from my globe, in my, in the park. Is just sitting on a picnic table, that I almost perfectly matched the image. And then all I did is I just pulled the GoPro back. I don't know if I guess I probably can't. Oh yeah. Okay. So you probably can see my mouse now. So I pulled my GoPro back, and from several yards away. And then now all of a sudden the United States is much, much smaller. So that's one of the things about, looking at the Earth from space, and whether space is fake, and whether, this Blue Marble image was fake. But a lot of people are, making fun of that because the United States is so huge in that image. But I got a bunch of stuff in here. Like, for example, the Eratosthenes, there was a bunch of schools. Then I think there's like a yearly thing, sometimes they call it the Eratosthenes Project. Sometimes they call it the Noonday Project. But these colored lines are all representing different latitudes on Earth and where they saw the sun. And of course, it's little kids, so it's like they're not necessarily making scientific measurements. But if these lines are parallel, that indicates that a globe. It's the sun is a really far away to the right hand side of the screen. But then down here, this would be the flat Earth. Basically, I used these numbers as latitude points, lines of latitude. And so if they converge at a single point, then that supports the flat Earth. So yes, absolutely. It depends on the distance of the camera, how big the United States would look. Absolutely. But a lot of people were picking on that specific photo, because the United States is so much bigger in that one photo than in all the other quote unquote Blue Marble photos. But anyway, let me see. I think I have somewhere in here. Oh, this tiny URL, Flat Earth Math Public. Let's see if this thing works. So I'm gonna post this into chat. Do I have a chat? Anyway, yeah. So if I can't even click on this. How come I can't click on this? I don't know why I can't click on that. But anyway, if you could try, anybody can access any of this stuff. tinyurl.com/flat earth math public. So you could try that link. I don't know if it'll work. Oh, here it is. Copy. And it's just a folder. It's just a Google Drive folder is all it is. But I've got some of my spreadsheets in here, these green icons. These are my spreadsheets. Centrifugal force at the equator. Here's a neat one. So to calculate centrifugal force, you just need the Earth's radius, the angular speed, and then I just put in a 200-pound man. And then if you do the math, it turns out it'll be 1 third of 1% of a G at the equator, you know. Sergeant Rock says, if the stars rotated overhead like a wheel, star trails would be oval. Do we see oval star trails? That question is moot, because on a flat Earth, it would never be dark out. You never see stars. Yes, absolutely right. Yeah, try to get a flat earther to try to model stars, and it's a bit of a struggle. All right, I'm going to stop screen sharing. So anyway, I didn't really have an agenda. I guess we're about at the 40 minute mark. I don't try to have these things go too long. I don't even know how many people are watching. All right, we got 20 people watching, so I do appreciate everybody coming out. So yeah, I didn't, like I said, I didn't have anything planned. I just wanted to open the forum. Yeah, Meraki says, yeah, I mean, the whole thing is that the sun is never going to be, like less than 20 degrees elevation. And so it's a bit of a struggle to see, to imagine how we can have sunrise and sunset. But anyway, I think I am going to close up shop here. I do appreciate. Yeah, that's a good question. Grumpy Old Mechanic asks, why does every university library have hundreds of feet of shelf space devoted to astronomy and geophysics journals? Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, I do appreciate you guys participating. Here's what Effed Up World says. Know that they're same as stars in the sky of the world you live in as the stars of the sky of the world I live in. All right. So it'll just be imagined a way of asking, of examining what the model is. Jim Jackson says, just ask them why the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Yes. Well, it's all, when I got started, Jim, when I got started in this debate 15 years ago, I guess it was March of 2008. It was all on text bulletin boards. It was because YouTube, I don't think YouTube had been invented yet. So it was all text-based chat, very, very few images, 0 videos. And the phrase of the hour was bendy light. So it's like, how does the sun set? Oh, bendy light. It's really easy. You just say bendy light, and that solves all your problems for stars, moon, sun. Just say bendy light, and then that's it. All right. So it looks like some people are trying to engage in debate. I really appreciate the participation. Thank you very much for everybody who came out. But I do believe I am, yeah, bulletin board systems. It was actually, it wasn't bulletin board. It was, yeah, that's definitely going back a ways. It was, it was still web-based, but it was a web-based text, text message boards. But I am going to sign off. I want to say thank you very much for everybody joining. Please be kind to each other. And the chat is going to close as soon as I close this thing down. The chat will close maybe in about 2 minutes or so. So finish up whatever last points you wanted to make. But I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the rest of your weekend. And Semper Fi, Meraki.